Hello, thank you for having me today for this interview. I will start. Question 1. Please tell us about yourself. What are your interests and hobbies? My name is Chairo Nyangau. I am a trained mathematics teacher from Kenya with 10 years teaching experience. I hold a bachelor's degree in education, mathematics, chemistry from Kenyatta University, Kenya. I am head of mathematics department. I am also the patron of mathematics club in our school and also the patron Young Science Kenya in our school. I am passionate about helping my students understand mathematical concepts and develop critical thinking skills. In my teaching, I always make sure that learning is engaging, meaningful, accessible, and enjoyable to all my students. I use a variety of teaching strategies to support different learning needs. I am hardworking, trustworthy, and a dedicated maths teacher who believes that every student can learn mathematics with the right support and guidance. In my free time, I enjoy playing volleyball, reading wide to expand my knowledge as an educator, and tend to my crops in my small farm. I am also involved in community service. Question 2. What motivated you to become a teacher for the subject for which you are applying? I was motivated to become a maths teacher because I always loved problem solving back in high school. I was also inspired by my teacher, Mr. Robert, who usually made maths clear and enjoyable. My active participation in mathematics club also deepened my love for mathematics. I could help other students understand mathematical concepts. These experiences inspired me to become a maths teacher when I joined university, whereby I chose education, mathematics, and chemistry, because I wanted to share the same passion as I used to do in high school, so that I can be able to help students as a trained teacher. To me, maths is a passion rather than a profession. Question 3. Tell us about your involvement in extracurricular activities that you could coach or supervise. Apart from teaching in class, I engage students in co-curricular activities. I am head coach volleyball in our school team. We play matches with our neighbor schools and participate in competitions with other schools up to regional level. Through this, it helps students develop teamwork, discipline, and physical fitness. Through competitions, students, especially the team, builds confidence and leadership skills, which positively influence their performance and social interaction. I am also a patron in our mathematics club. Through this, I encourage my students to participate in STEM activities and programs like science and engineering and Young Science Kenya, where I assist them to come up with projects. For instance, in 2022, I initiated a project in Young Science Kenya that sailed all through to national level. At that stage, we competed favorably and became #1 countrywide. Our project was crowned the most innovative project countrywide. The 2 students who participated secured scholarship to join university and pursue maths-related courses. This year, we also participated and we are awaiting communication from the organizers. Question 4. What subjects have you taught and at what age levels? I have taught mathematics both in junior school and senior school. I teach students aged 13 to 18 years. I have teaching experience in topics like algebra, geometry, statistics, and calculus, focusing on developing critical thinking skills. I have also taught chemistry based on the school allocation and the requirements of the timetable. Question 5. How do you prepare to teach your lessons and what do your lesson plans include? When it comes to planning, I believe in Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I usually prepare my lessons a week in advance. I review the curriculum, identify learning objectives, and gather all the materials I require. When I plan, I think about the diverse features of my learners. I imagine how my class will respond to the learning episodes and therefore prepare based on individual differences. My lesson plan includes topic, subtopic, clear objectives, student activities, assessment methods, and a reflection to improve future lessons. Question 6. Talk about 2 teaching strategies or methods that you effectively use in your classroom. One of the strategies I use in my classroom is think, pair, share approach. When I introduce a concept or a question, I first give learners time to think on their own. They then pair up to discuss their ideas before they share to the whole class. This helps every student to get involved, including those ones who are shy or those ones who require more time to process information. It also promotes critical thinking, peer learning, and helps students explain their reasoning, which is a very important component in learning mathematics. I also apply scaffolding. I do this by breaking learning into small manageable steps. I guide the learners through each step at a time through use of manipulatives, visuals, and models depending on the topic. As they gain confidence, I release responsibility. However, I check on understanding frequently. The above strategies ensure that every student is engaged and supported appropriately. Question 7. When someone enters your classroom, describe the learning activities in which the students are engaged. As a teacher, I hate a boring classroom. If someone gets into my classroom, they will find a class which is student-centered. Learners who are actively engaged in a meaningful and collaborative manner. Depending on the topic or activity, you will find students working in small groups or pairs through think, pair, share strategy. You will find math stations. You will find students doing problems or hands-on activities using manipulatives and visuals. As a teacher, I will be moving around the class, asking guiding questions, assessing understanding, and facilitating discussions. The classroom is learner-friendly, student-centered, collaborative, focused on developing critical thinking skills. Question 8. What methods do you use to evaluate your students' progress? I use diagnostic assessment at the start of the unit to identify prior knowledge, readiness levels, strengths, and learning gaps. The outcome helps me plan instruction. I also use formative assessment to monitor understanding and guide my teaching. These include exit tickets, short questions, observation during group activities, and a review of their homework. This helps identify misconceptions earlier and provide targeted support. Finally, I use summative assessments to evaluate learners' mastery of content or standards at the end of the unit. In this, I use unit tests, projects, or presentations. This helps me identify students who need immediate intervention or extension. Additionally, I involve students in their assessment through self-assessment and peer assessment. Question 9. If you use technology in your teaching, describe how you incorporate it into your teaching. Describe any experiences you have with a smartboard. Yes, I integrate technology in my teaching in order to enhance teaching and learning. I use a laptop and a projector to present interactive lessons, display visual models, demonstrations, videos, and interactive activities. I also incorporate tablets, smartphones, and digital platforms such as GeoGebra for drawing geometrical shapes, Desmos for graphs, and Kahoot to make learning interactive and fun. Unfortunately, we don't have a smartboard in our school. All the schools I've taught previously. However, I interacted with a smartboard when I was in university in educational instruction and technology course. Recently, I also attended a workshop whereby we were taught various technological tools, whereby the smart board was one of them. This was in preparation for CPE, which is supposed to start next year, a change of our Kenyan curriculum. In the workshop, I learned the use of interactive tools, annotation, and digital manipulatives. I am currently learning how to use a smart board through YouTube tutorials. 10. If you have students who are noisy or non-attentive, share ways you regain their attention without interrupting the lesson. If students become noisy, I use nonverbal signals to regain attention without stopping the lesson. I can use proximity control by moving near the off-task students while teaching. When they realize I'm near them, they will be attentive. I can also roll my eyebrows this way while maintaining eye contact. That way, they know that they are doing something disruptive and they will stop immediately. Sometimes I pause and make eye contact, which naturally brings them back. These strategies help bring classroom control and keep the lesson flowing smoothly. However, if the problem persists after the lesson, I will talk to the individual students and find out why they were making noise. Question 11. Describe the most difficult problem you have had to deal with as a teacher and how did you resolve this problem? One of the most challenging situations I found myself as a teacher is when I was working as a volunteer teacher in a given school. Most learners were struggling with mathematics. They had a poor attitude towards the subject, which led to low confidence, poor participation, and at times disruptive in my lesson. This made it difficult to move at the required pace. To address this, I want to find out the root cause of the problem by going through their previous performance and also talking to individual students. I discovered that they had weak foundational skills and had experienced repeated failure in mathematics, which affected their motivation and attitude. To address this, I used learner-centered approach to rebuild their confidence. I applied scaffolding technique by breaking learning into manageable steps, making them to focus on one step at a time. I also offered remedial support to learners who needed extra help, and we celebrated small wins to encourage progress. Over time, the students gained confidence, their attitude improved, participation improved, and performance increased. The experience taught me the value of patience and positive reinforcement. Question 12. Give an example to show that you are a flexible person and that you can make changes to your teaching and methods. I consider myself a flexible teacher and I'm willing to adjust my methods when I realize that something is not working well with my learners. For instance, recently I was teaching grade 10 on constructing a triangle using a pair of compasses and a ruler only, but the lesson did not go as expected. Although I demonstrated the construction on the board, I noticed that most learners were struggling, especially with basic compass skills, such as setting the compass width, drawing accurate arcs, and keeping the compass steady. I realized that I had moved quickly to independent work without ensuring that all students were confident. Instead of continuing with the previous plan, I quickly changed my approach and reorganized the class into mixed ability groups. This allowed students who were more confident with construction to support those who needed guidance. I modeled the steps again, then guided them through the task. Thank you for your time and thank you for the interview.